Hello and good morning on this Friday morning at the EPA festival. I am Ton Gevers and I want to talk to you about the patient today. But first of all, what is your own definition of the patient? How do you see the patient? What comes to mind when you think about patients? Just think about it in your head, and at the end of the presentation, maybe my story or my ideas have influenced this definition. And if so, or you want to talk about it, or maybe have some ideas, then you can email me. My email is at the end of the presentation, or just send me a message on LinkedIn because the patient is really important to us. The patient might be the most taken for granted entity in all of healthcare. And why is this? And how does this come to pass? And why is it important to understand this? Hopefully, I will shed some light on this. I will give a short introduction about my ideas and my research, and after that, maybe a discussion can take place. And since this is a recording, maybe a discussion by email or LinkedIn. But why do this? Why think about this patient as a concept? For my study as an applied philosopher, I am trained to dissect concepts. And the concept of a patient has always fascinated me, even when I was a physiotherapist. So, as an assignment for the EPA, we are writing an article about the patient. We are Philip Maric and myself, and we are trying to use the actor network theory of Bruno Latour to maybe change the perspective on patients that we have. I will explain more about Latour in a minute, but we have never treated the patients yet is a direct um, reference to his book, We Have Never Been Modern. But where does this fascination come from? Well, even when I was a physio, the human behind the complaint was more interesting to me than the pain in the shoulder, for instance. And last year something happened. I got this pen, and this pen says, "Hallo patiënt," or in English, "Hello patient." It's in Dutch because I am Dutch. I'm from the Netherlands. And this pen triggered something in me. It said patient. And I thought, and got it in the hospital, of course. And I thought, I'm more than a patient. I am a husband of a lovely wife, Angela. I am a father of my 11-year-old Stella. I'm much more than this. So I started thinking about it. Why does this trigger me? And I got to the hospital because I had to do some examinations and some tests. Um, and something else happened there because I had to do the examinations. I had to do a CT and I had to do an ultrasound. And afterwards, the doctor said, "Ton, you're fine. You're perfectly healthy." Of course, that's great. But it occurred to me that the machines that I was sent to and that they used me to do the tests, it empowered the message of the doctor. And of course, already knowing the Latour theory on Actor Network and his ideas on non-humans and things and the effect they have on us, I started thinking maybe there's something there. Um, so the patient, what does this mean? Why don't we talk about the patient? And is that true? Do we talk about the patient? Well, actually, we do a lot of research on ourselves, on how we work with the patient. For instance, shared decision making is on how the healthcare professional better explains things to patients and shares ideas with the patient, but the patient is never explained. It's just always there. It's sort of a tacit understanding on who it is and what it is. Um, and if you just take something for granted, do you really understand it? Could you really see what's going on? Maybe we need a perspective change on the patient to better treat them, to better understand them. For this, we want to see if the actor network theory could be helpful. But first, I will explain something about Bruno Latour. This is Mr. Latour. He was a philosopher, sociologist, and an anthropologist. And I said he was because unfortunately he died at the age of 75 last year. He was very much a philosopher of practice and discussion. In the 80s and 90s, he was quite controversial with his book, We Have Never Been Modern. And his last years, he was very influential in climate and eco philosophy with Facing Gaia, a great book to read if you're interested in ecological philosophy. So, to better understand actor network theory, the book We Have Never Been Modern by Bruno Latour is very important. I'm going to explain it really, really short and not do justice at the ideas of Latour, but I'm going to try and explain it. Um, Modern means for Latour the last 300 years of our thinking, modernization, or modern people, modernity. And Latour explains this by the fact that modernity has created a sort of split, a split in politics and science, in nature and culture, in maybe even humans and the rest of the planet. A split he explains there, and we have never been modern, and later on he entangles it totally because we don't understand any of it, because we've made the split and this is impossible. That is his message. You cannot make these splits. So when we cannot make these splits, then we could not have been modern. And that is a very, maybe even diverse, crazy way of thinking at this time. We want to split everything, but it's impossible. He's about networks and interlinks and actions and reactions, not about splitting the world so that it's more easily to understand. We also see the split in healthcare, in the body and mind split, which derives from the 17th century, and Descartes explains this in his Descartesian view, where he explains that mind and body are two different things, and even that the mind controls the body. This view is now widely spread in all our ideas on humans and all our thinking on humans. In the 80s and 90s of the last century, the evidence-based medicine became more and more important. And also here we see a split between subjective knowledge and objective knowledge. Subjective knowledge being experiences and ideas of people, and the objective knowledge where we see a laboratory and a patient and scientific papers. And in development of that, the subjective knowledge was seen as lesser knowledge than the objective knowledge. Also, we see the man as a machine. Like there's something wrong with you, fix it, and you can go on. And our biomechanical knowledge is still our biggest selling point in physiotherapy, so it's really important. Because these ideas and these way of seeing things seem all very reductionistic and always are looking for plausible ideas and these splits in making the world or patients or humans easy to understand. A nature-culture split, what Latour talks about a lot, is also very important. Nature being everything that is not human, culture being everything human-made. And we tend to have the idea that we can control ecology, that we are central to ecology. Now, why is this important? We see the patient in a very one-dimensional way. And if we see the world in a simplistic way, then we are not seeing the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the world is changing rapidly. There are ecological changes around the globe. And if we just separate nature and culture, we are simplifying things. The current state of the climate is caused by human actions. And the word for this current time frame we are in is the Anthropocene, or human-made, or anthro being human. And the anthropocentrism is important in this. Anthropocentrism means human-centered. We all our ideas, all our thinking start with us humans. Our viewpoint is humans. We have put ourselves outside ecology, outside the food chain outside Earth. But we are symbiotic with Earth, symbiotic with our ecology. It is very important that we think about this. And at this point, we are not the ones that make decisions to change the way we live, but ecology is forcing us. And this is a very important part um, because this is Actor Network in the greatest idea and scheme of it. We think as humans that we have now decided to help the planet, to save the planet. But the planet is giving us everything it's got in the sense that we as humans have prospered from fossil fuels and all these things the planet gives us to an extent that now we have heat waves, rainstorms, floodings. It threatens the way we live as humans. So actually ecology and Earth is forcing us to think differently. It's not us as humans that made that decision. I think it's important to understand this. So we have a human patient that we have split in body and mind and made very reductionistic. And we have this changing world, this changing environment where we as humans live in. When we don't fully understand how the patient is or who the patient is, how can we really help them? How can we really see the bigger picture with the patients? So this change in perspective, in this change of perspective, the actor network theory could be helpful. We could see the patient as an actor network of itself. But we could also see everything around us as an actor network. Let me start by trying to explain what Latour meant by this theory, and I'm going to explain it very short, and again, we'll not do justice to it. We'll try. The word actor is a moving target. It is never in one place, and it's constantly fluid and changing, and an actor has agency or effects on other actors. This could be one actor, but most of the time there are multiple actors. And it's very important to understand and stress out non-humans and the importance of non-humans, the role of non-humans. Non-humans being things, animals, even the ozone layer or the sea. This is a very important thing of Latour's thinking. We are not central to the world, it is a network. So non-humans are as important as we are. A network, like I said, is not like we know a network as a couple of lines and dots or like a subway map, but it's about everything that happens in between the actors. The word network implies an ever-changing dynamic array of actions between actors. And two examples of actor network theory are Parliament of Things and a speed bump. So the Parliament of Things, which is invented by Bruno Latour, is a parliament where representatives represent people, but also represent things like the sea or the ozone layer or the Brazilian rainforest. In Holland, in the Netherlands, we already have an example of that in the Partij voor de Dieren, Party of the Animals, which represent the rights of animals. And the speed bump in the Netherlands, in the residential area, we have a lot of speed bumps. And the speed bump does something to you. It has agency on you in your car driving along. It says slow down because you're going to crash your car or you're going to crash yourself. Latour even goes as far as saying that the speed bump has a moral effect on you. It says you should not drive fast here. It's not okay. So I really want to say that it's not that things or non-humans have feelings or ideas, but they have agency and effect on us. As I made the example of me going to the hospital and going through that CT and the ultrasound, those things are really important because the doctor, he actually might not be a doctor without those things. He is maybe more just of a psychic and looking at me and saying, Alton, you are very healthy. You look healthy, you sound healthy, so all good. No, those things made him the doctor. So we have a view on humans that might be a little bit reductionistic and simplistic, and actually also a view on the world. The world is really changing a lot. Oh, it's changing. It's not going well. Let's start to change it. Let us change the world. Let us help the world. This is much more complex, and accepting that the world is not simply put in concept as body versus mind and nature versus culture, and thinking beyond this is the challenge. If we think as the patient, as complex, fluid, ever-changing actor networks of themselves, how could we change how we see physiotherapy in total? So, what now? And how do you see your definition of the patient now? So, here's my email address, and just look me up on LinkedIn if you like, Ton Gevers, and just send a message or connect with me, and we could have, or maybe we could have a nice discussion. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good day.